Hello, everybody. It is Friday, February the 17th. What the Frick Live. I'm your host, Emily, and I have my co-host with me, Rick. How's everybody doing?
Hey, Emily. What's
Thank
up?
you. All kinds of stuff. You name it, it's up. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in from 107.7 FM New Orleans. We love you all. Thank you so much for listening live. A new feature coming up soon. We're going to have call-ins for the radio. So I've been working on that this week. Hopefully in the next month that will happen. So we can have call-ins. Craig's on here. Hey, what's up, everybody? Good to see you, Craig.
What's up, Craig?
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to do this really fast like I do a lot. But Rick has an announcement first before I go into my social media stuff.
An announcement, as much as it is a huge congratulations. What the Frick had an extremely exciting week. So everybody listening live in New Orleans and live on Facebook and YouTube and MySpace and Twitter and all that stuff. What the Frick Live was ranked number 5 on Good Pods this week. Absolutely incredible. A huge congratulations. This is thanks to Emily's tireless hard work. I'm extremely impressed, and I am just glad to be a part of it.
It's a lot of work. I'm almost thinking about putting videos together behind the scenes from the beginning to the end and put on YouTube, because to have a successful podcast or a show like this, people just do not understand the hard work that goes behind it. So it's good to feel that, we're not getting money yet. So if you want to be a sponsor, message me, because we need the money. But it's going to get there. So I'm excited about that, and hope we get enough money where we can pay our guests to come on, because there's a lot of people I want to pay to come on the show.
Luckily, we've been doing pretty good with the free ones. We've had some extremely exciting ones lately.
We have an exciting guest tonight, and I'm going to get into that for a second. But real quick, if you're watching via Facebook and you leave comments or anything like that, and it comes up Facebook user, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give StreamYard permission to use your name and your picture, so we know who we're talking to. And if you have any questions for our guests during the show, please be active in that comment section. The more active you are in that comment section, the more it shows up in the algorithm. It helps our show, it helps our guests, it helps the network, everything like that. If you're watching by Rumble, give us a positive rumble there. That's over there. If you're watching by YouTube, give us a thumbs up. And if you're watching by Facebook, give us a heart, because hearts always show up more in the algorithm. So we appreciate everybody tonight. And we got a major guest tonight. There are many great guests that don't take money. I know. And I'm so thankful for them. Like, love you all, just because they want to share their knowledge and expertise and everything. We need that. We need it. So amazing guests that come on. So we have a guest tonight, and I'm super excited about it, because this movie, like, I don't watch Exorcist movies. Like, I watched The Exorcist back in the day when I was a kid, and like when she turned her head around and threw up, I was like, that's it. I'm done. Like, there's something about these movies that I just don't connect with or don't want to, and it's like I have a fear behind it a little bit. But 10 years ago, do you watch these movies, Rick?
So I have, and they terrify me. And the reason is because with the supernatural, you can't fight back. Like, if it's a monster, or if it's Jason or Freddy, it's like, yeah, I'm probably gonna lose, but I feel like, well, maybe not Freddy, but I feel like I can fight back, like I can grab a weapon or something. A ghost, there's nothing I can do. Like, you got to go, you need an expert to come in. So no, the movies absolutely terrify me. And from an early age, like, I wasn't a big supernatural scary movie guy.
My friends were like, Emily, you got to do this. 10 years ago, this came out, The Conjuring. 10 years ago, everybody's like, hey, John, good to see you. You have to go see this, Emily. You have to go see it. It's not like what you think. And I was like, okay. So I go with my group of friends. Go. I'm the only one in that place. I'm bawling my eyes out, crying because the end. And And then I take my mom. Hopefully she'll pop in here in a little bit and make some comments or something. And both of us cry in this movie. It is not like The Exorcist you think from the movies back in the 70s. But it was investigated in the 70s. And one of the very first investigators was Carl Johnson, which is our guest tonight. But before I bring him on, I'm going to play the trailer. Everybody needs to take a refresher moment in The Conjuring. And so here we go.
All right, it's 9:18. We're headed down into the cellar where the doors just opened on its own. Give us a sign that you want to communicate with us. Nothing.
What are you guys?
Well, we've been called ghost hunters, paranormal researchers.
But we prefer to be known simply as Ed and Lorraine Warren.
There's someone here that would like to talk to you.
There's something horrible happening in my house.
It's November 1st, 1971. I'm sitting here with Carolyn Perron, who, with her family, has been experiencing supernatural occurrences. You picking up anything in here, hon?
Something awful happened here, Ed.
What is it? Whatever Lorraine sees, feels, touches, it takes a toll on her. A little piece each time.
You have a lot of spirits in here, but there's one that I'm most worried about because it is so hateful. Look what she made me do. We have to get out of here.
That's not gonna help.
This thing has latched itself to your family.
Probably never seen nothing like this.
I'm coming with you.
No way. I can't lose you.
There's a lady in a dirty nightgown that I see in my dreams. She's standing in front of my mom's bed. Do you want to see him?
Yeah.
The music stops. He's standing in the mirror, standing behind me.
Yeah.
We have
Nope.
it. Nope, but we have Mr. Carl L. Johnson with us tonight. Thank you, Carl, so much for coming on.
My pleasure. It's so nice to finally get to talk to you, Emily. This has been in the works for about a year or so.
It's been
We've
a
talking about
while.
And Rick, nice to meet you.
That's a pleasure, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Hopefully this will be more in the nature of a part one, because
I
we've got
think it's going to
so
be.
much to talk about. That was quite the intro, yes.
Well, it is 10 years, and that movie affected me. And you know, I've not watched the other Conjurings after that. For some reason, I feel like Hollywood took over the franchise or something, which that's a big to do and everything. I've seen a lot of supernatural movies, horror and gore. Started at ages 6 with Evil Dead. You're related. This is not going the way I'm going to, but you're related to a horror movie maker, right, Carl?
There's actually someone who inspired a lot of horror fiction.
Okay.
He's an icon. He inspired Stephen King, and Stephen King is happy to say that. His name is H.P. Lovecraft, or was H.P. Lovecraft.
I've heard of that.
And the more you research Lovecraft, the more you find out how influential he was, on par with Edgar Allan Poe, as far as being an influence on horror fiction, modern horror fiction.
So, real quick, I'll get into this with some basic questions in the first, but I got a lot of other questions, and Rick has some
just
things
keep asking. I'll try not to take too long to answer. My
No,
answers
don't take your time.
sometimes
It's
10
okay.
minutes, but you know.
So, really quickly, for the viewers that may not know, or our new listeners here for What the Frick Live, what made you there's a significant difference between a paranormal investigator and a demonologist. So what made you switch? Because I know that you've been a paranormal investigator, or you dabbled in some of that stuff as a teenager, like we all do. But what made that switch from paranormal investigating to demonology?
Well, to clarify, I am a paranormal investigator who specializes as a demonologist, and that means I address some of the darker situations, more malevolent seeming, that are brought to my attention. My definition of demonology is the systematized study of the lore and cultural traditions of wicked spirits. Now, someone can be an academic demonologist, just studies, about demon lore and how these spirits became relegated to being demons. And there's also applied demonology, and that's when somebody is consulted or might even go out and address cases, investigates as a demonologist. Now, I try to incorporate both academic demonology and applied demonology. So that's my definition of it. I'm not, if there is such a thing as standard demonology, that's not really me. I'm surprised I haven't had my demonologist badge revoked at some point, because I just have differing opinions on what causes these things. But it is a real and viable force that sometimes has to be addressed. And where are people going to turn? If there is a demonologist who is effective, experienced, then they can consult that person. And that's the role I fill.
Okay.
Some people have different methodologies. We were talking about the Warrens. They differed from me somewhat in how they would approach demonic cases. But that was their specialty, handling demonic situations.
So I think for all of our listeners, right? I think we probably have a lot of them listening live in New Orleans.
I hope so.
So my question is, you have a community, right? Very, very rich, obviously, with supernatural. And so I'm sure that but for anyone listening, like what is a demon? What is actually like the scientific definition, if there is one, of what a demon is compared to all the other hauntings that we're familiar with?
So many definitions. I can give you my most accurate, but I have to elaborate after that. My most current and my personalized definition of a demon is, I don't know. If you're a paranormal investigator, especially a researcher, let's say, one has to be ready to say, don't know, really intrinsically do not know what these things are. We have theories, we have suppositions, we have hypotheses. I think a more standardized, in Western culture, standardized Occidental definition of what is a demon would be an angel that was cast out of the heavenly realms, the Great Rebellion. And some of the angels, when Satan rebelled against God, Satan was cast down into the nether regions, and even before it was called hell. And 1/3 of the heavenly host, which we take to be angels, went with him of their volition. They sided with Satan. He was their leader. And they are the demons now. They are fallen angels, also sometimes referred to as Nephilim, which is plural for Nephil, the fallen one. And,
or some people too wants to call them reptilians a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, there are reptilian demons. I've had people describe them to me. Another definition of a demon is one I come up with is a poltergeist with a really bad attitude. That's one thing. And
sounds like one of my relatives.
You're a passed away, really, really bad attitude. That's what you are. Yeah, you're a fallen one. So they're real in the sense that we make them real. Once the demon is believed in as a viable personified force, then that's its power. Because dread of the demon is what gives it its power. I don't think they were celestial. I don't think they're infernal. I believe that they are created within the human psyche. And I'm not saying they are imaginal totally. But they are created in the human mind. They are projected. They blend with other influences that are already out there. And they become what we expect them to be, malevolent. Now, it depends on interpretation. Some people might experience activity that is the criteria for a demonic haunt, and they might not say it's demonic. We've got strange odors in this house, and furniture's moving around, and I just don't feel well in this house. It might be radon, or we're going through a transitional time with this move. I have never run into a demonic case or situation where there wasn't trauma involved. Something in the person, the subject's past, something
Like
went wrong,
childhood
divided the
trauma?
course of their lives at some point. That's been endemic to every demonic case I've investigated.
That's an extremely interesting take to where
That's
we
something interesting.
project our, our inner influences, our life, our turmoil as we struggle
Yes.
with as humans. We project that, and I might interpret something happening to just be, oh, no big deal. I'm focused on other
Right.
things, or some people may obsess over it and hear a noise, and this, oh man, that's my, that's this demon, and then our energy, our constant dwelling on it actually manifests itself
Right.
into
It magnifies that
That is-
experience. And once the demon is accepted as real, once somebody embraces a belief in that demon, they're going to be plagued by it. It's real. Everything that goes wrong, they back into a fire hydrant. A book flies off the bookshelf. They just don't feel comfortable in their home. Things start going wrong. The water main breaks. It's all related to the demon.
Well, also too, I think words play a huge role. I think we can
Oh, yeah.
speak a lot of things onto ourselves, and I've had one really truly poltergeist demonic home. I call it the Poltergeist of Paintsville in Kentucky. It was going to be on a TV show, and they backed out at the very last minute because they thought it was going to be crazy, or everybody's going to think he was crazy. But I truly had some magnificent things happen there. But I honestly think that a lot of it came from the mom, the homeowner there. Like, she became obsessed with anything, and it just manifested, and became something larger than we needed help to come in and cleanse that place or set it free. But she spoke a lot of that. Even when I was guiding her and giving her scriptures, take scriptures up in her home, giving her worship.
That's a good approach. Yes.
And I would tell her, because I believe in words so much, that when she'd walk through a door frame and there's a scripture there, that she'd have to read that scripture, even if she doesn't believe in it yet. They knew I was Christian based, that she'd have to speak that out so her own ears could hear, and just keep saying it, and then have praise and worship music. But that would help for a period of time. But then her mind, and then her word, like anything little would happen, back to that, back to that, back to that. So does someone truly get free from their haunted, oppression, or possessed home if they continue to do that? Are we wasting time when we
No, some people, well, we could call it chronics, people who really it seems impossible to free them from the clutches of this influence, this presence. I think the best remedy, of course, there is prayer if someone has a faith. People tend to forget that if we believe in the Holy Spirit is stronger than the demonic. But the demonic seems to be more persistent, more nagging. What I think the best remedy is distraction. Somebody takes a positive mindset, is embraced by their friends, seeks out their friends' company, positive, helpful activities. I wouldn't say that's an all-out cure. It doesn't always alleviate the situation, but it makes it better. People need to take their minds off it when they're sitting at their homes and dreading the next thing that's going to happen. And every thought that pops into their head that's negative, they attribute to the demon.
Yes.
And of course, it's a lethal force. And it's very hard to convince somebody that it's not a demon. And we're dealing basically with what's largely unknown. In my opinion, borne out by my experience, I think it issues from someone's psyche. But remember, the psyche can create a poltergeist.
Battlefield of the
Psyche can
mind.
move things around. Psyche can, if you can think of invisible hands like pummeling somebody's insides, it can do that. Paranormal force isn't going to outright kill somebody, but it can create misery and anxiety and tension. And the person associates all of that with the spooky thing, with the demonic entity. And they might even see that entity. After a while, other people start seeing the entity. Psychic people first, the people who have a proclivity for seeing otherworldly things, manifestations. And then just people in the household will start seeing this, for example, a shadowy form moving about. And sometimes it appears even, like you mentioned, Emily, reptilian. That's a scary apparition. These things, it's impossible but it's real. It's an untrue truth.
Hold on, I
So
got something to
the
share.
mind creates it, but that makes it nonetheless real. I don't think the demonic race predates the human race. I don't think there were demons just lying in wait for God's greatest creation to come along, and then they have purpose. Now, here we have a photograph, if our audience can see that. That, to the best of my
I pulled
knowledge,
this off something else. It's super blurry, but
oh, well, the quality is kind of blurry anyway. That's the way the photograph is.
Okay.
It's a little sharper in the original, but I'll explain it briefly. To the best of my knowledge, that is a photograph of a demon. It is very rare to acquire a photograph of a ghost that is really validated. You know, you can say that's pretty genuine under, you know, controlled circumstances, or we know where and how, what environment in which the picture was taken. That's probably really a ghost. It's much more rare and much less common to get a picture of a demon. It almost doesn't happen. This is the picture of a demon. It's upsetting to a lot of people. Usually if I'm lecturing and display this picture, I will caution people, this is going to be kind of disturbing for you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Carl.
No. Well, no, let's look at it clinically.
A lot of nightmares tonight, guys.
It's a picture of something we don't understand. It is loaded with personality. It's malevolent looking.
Uh-huh.
It has like snake eyes, like
reptilian eyes, a distended jaw, like a boa constrictor unhinging its jaw to swallow a pig, or, you know, like that. A lolling tongue. You see, it has dentition. You can see teeth, flared nostrils. The mouth is horribly drawn back over the teeth. That was taken by the subject as he was being driven out from their home. He and his family had so much going on. They had to get out. His name was Tony. He called me at 2:30 in the morning. He said, "Listen, man, it's happening now. You got to get over here. You got to get over here. It's throwing things at us." And I said, "Look, it'll take me 20 minutes to get over there at least." He said, "No, we got to get out now." So they went over to his wife's sister's house with the children. And I think they brought 5 children with them. It was that bad. And they couldn't leave anybody behind. And Tony remembered that his camera was on a table at the bottom of the stairwell, leading up to bedrooms. He wanted that camera because he had his paranormal evidence on it. Tony went back into the house, grabbed that camera, and as he did, he looked at the top of the stairs, and there was a malevolent figure of something like a man looking down at him. Grabbed his camera, had the presence of mind to snap a picture, and then fled. I don't know if he locked the door behind him. He just got out. This is the picture he got. He didn't know if anything would come out in the camera. Digital picture, and look what he got. Yeah, something like that. Figure, didn't see the face. So if
he's I'm sorry, I took that down while you were reading it. Amazing. I was looking at the dark figure, didn't see the face.
Yeah. Oh.
But
We've still got it on. Yeah, you can see it's got character to it, bad character.
Emily's just leaving that up there. I mean,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is super blurry, everybody. I was listening to one of the shows that you were on, and I was listening to it. I wasn't watching or anything, and you were talking about this picture, and everybody was like gasping. And I was like, I got to see what this is. So I screenshot it, and this is the best I can get, but it's way better.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the quality, the original is kind of blurred anyway, perhaps a little sharper focus than what you're seeing. But you notice it's translucent. You can see the door at the top of the stairwell behind the face. And it even looks like it's got like a black collar or some garment it might be wearing.
I can't see it.
It's human, but
like
not totally. You know, that's
but see, the experiences, Carl, I haven't told you about this. I have a bachelor's and a master's in Christian education and minor in theology, and I worked in ministry. And I've dealt with demonic entities and stuff. The demonic entities that I've dealt with has always been part human and part animal. Like that's
interesting. Interesting,
like monkeys,
also.
Frogs, snakes. I've seen a woman crawl over a pew like a snake that had no spine. I've seen a lot of stuff, and I've helped out with some things, and you know, honestly think I've seen a reptilian, but I called it a horny toad. That's what I called it back in the day when I was 19. But it seems like these demons that manifest themselves, just like this picture. If you had the good picture, you could see it had like the reptilian eyes.
Yes.
It's like part human. It looks human in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it looks animalistic.
Now, there are a couple of theories about that. Why can't this entity look like a person, like a ghost? If it wants to deceive us, if it has that kind of volition, that it's trying to, why doesn't it appear like maybe an angel of light? One line of thought is that the demon cannot perfectly replicate the human form. It's forbidden to, or it's incapable of doing so. Can't look exactly like a person. Something is distorted. It gets messed up in the translation trying to look like a human, and its nature comes out and becomes apparent. That could be interesting that medieval representations of demons show them as part animal and part human. They usually have something of a lion face. I think our subconscious has something to do with that, the inner psyche, projecting it like that. But yeah, it certainly reveals it as something demonic. It can't hide that.
When we think about demons and we think about kind of
which I do a lot of
what we know about it, right? We're always battling them with Christianity, symbolism, crosses, Bibles, the power of Christ compels you. And if we're manifesting these demons, right? These entities, creatures, supernatural, however, is it fair to say that the response, and is it your tactic to respond to these demon entities based on what the person believes in? If you had somebody of another religion, would you use that to interact with them and kind of speak? I don't know what exactly you do, but I'd love to know in terms of how you're interacting. But is that a trick of the trade, I guess, to take what the person believes in and possibly how they manifested and what their beliefs are, and maybe even what makes them calm and what they take comfort in as a way to battle that manifestation?
Well, it has to be on an individual basis. It's not like one can go in and perform a Christian blessing and expect, if the person is not, say they are of a different persuasion, say they're Buddhist or Muslim, which one makes you wonder why they would call on a demonologist, but they may have nowhere else to turn. I would talk with the client first. Let's call them a client, the person seeking help. I would speak with them. I said, what do you really want from this? I know you want it to be gone, but do you want more of a Muslim blessing? Do you want to, what do you feel you're going to respond to? And as Emily mentioned, there is power in names. Names have resonance. They strike a responsive chord. If a name has been associated with the demonic realm for a long time, it's going to have some power, especially in the subconscious if the person is aware of that name. And there are
Bathsheba.
some. Yeah,
Bathsheba. She was in the Bible too. So.
Oh yeah, Bathsheba. Yes, Bathsheba Thea Sherman, as she's represented in the movie The Conjuring. She really got a bum rap because my research partner of Panorama Paranormal, Elise Giammarco Carlson, she does land research, title researches professionally. She's been doing it for a number of years. And she really delved into the house in Harrisville that they now refer to as the Conjuring House. It's officially the Conjuring House. Look, the name is a movie title, and you can't get away from that now.
Right.
She does land
evidence. The Amityville, which is
very much like
the Warrens.
Doesn't have resonance. The Warrens, Amityville Horror, the Conjuring House. Bathsheba Thea Sherman was a totally innocuous person. She was a neighbor. She may have been in the house. There's no proof of that. But there is a tome called the Black Book of Burrillville. Harrisville, where the house is situated, that's a village in the town of Burrillville. And many of these old towns have the Black Book, which means a book of records. And if anything really insidious had occurred in that town, say there was an outbreak of hoof and mouth disease, say some horses were stolen, say someone hanged themselves, the murders were committed, those significant events would be recorded in the Black Book, the town's Black Book. There is nothing about Bathsheba Thea Sherman now. If she was even accused,
they just played off that because they know that was in the Bible.
Yeah, well, it's a cool it's a cool sounding name, Bathsheba. And yeah.
It's like Jezebel.
Yeah, Jezebel and all that, King Saul. Yeah, David's. Yeah. And it's a cool sounding name. Also, the Perron family who lived in that house for 10 years, the house in Harrisville. It's the actually Round Top farmhouse, or Richardson House from the original owners. They had a dog before they moved to Harrisville. When they were in Cumberland, Rhode Island, they had a dog named Bathsheba. The Warrens come to that house. Lorraine Warren.
No way. They really had a dog named Bathsheba.
Oh yeah, the Bathsheba, way before this haunting was going on. Now the parents were not well liked from all accounts in the town of Cumberland, where they were. You know, they were the outcast, the odd people. There are reasons for that, but it was not supernatural. And it's not like they were innocent people who moved into a haunted house. Oh, what's happening to us? We've sunk all our savings into this home. We can't leave. It wasn't that simple at all. And Bathsheba, well, Lorraine Warren comes to that house in 1973. I was there for it when she had her vision. And her vision is that the demon witch Bathsheba is what is tormenting them. Carolyn Perron had mentioned that she did research on the house's past. She had written down Bathsheba, and she gave her notes to Mrs. Warren. Our case manager, Donna Eisenstadt at the time in 1973, because we were the first investigating team there out of Rhode Island College, she had mentioned Bathsheba. So that had already been planted. The name Bathsheba Thayer Sherman was her full name. That seed had already been planted. Then Lorraine has the vision. It didn't just come to her like with no precedent. You know, she had the vision of Bathsheba. And nowadays it's kind of a spooky, old-fashioned name. And she was supposedly, because Mrs. Perron had a vision. Then that's augmented by Mrs. Warren's vision. And so this whole thing was just created. We talk about creating demons. That was like a literary creation. And then it became real because it was believed in. Mrs. Warren believed it. Carolyn Perron believed it. And unfortunately, it made its way to the movie.
I have a quick question too. And I have one question to one of my friends, John, but we'll get back to that. Hopefully that'll blend in at the end. But Doug says, do demons choose to show as human, not perfectly never mind. Y'all answering that. Y'all
we got a debate going on.
Never mind. He said, never mind. Y'all answering that.
Y'all answering that right now.
Okay, well, let me go up to John's question real quick, because John asked, I would like to ask if you see the demonic in people and society, especially within governments.
It gets complicated, that answer. I think there is enough confusion and evil in human beings that you don't have to attribute it to a supernatural force. It makes you wonder though, when you look at because now there are 7+ billion people on the planet, and so the theater is expanded, and it can look like something's pulling the strings. I think it's just groping. Human society is groping for dominance, for sustainability, but on a smaller scale, yes, I do see demons in people sometimes. You can sense it, almost smell it, when they are oppressed by a demon. And whatever my theories about their origins, you can sometimes see that in people. The co-author of my book, Realms Demonology Handbook.
Yes.
To tell you how to
That's on Amazon, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my co-author is Lana Jan Brock, and she's also an accredited theologian, and she has that degree. And she's my co-author of Realms Demonology Handbook. So she now works in a CVS. Yeah. She has for the last just about 5 years as a pharmacy technician, and she vaccinates people and keeps very busy with that. Well, she was in line at a CVS just before she started working there, and she saw, for the CVS stores, she saw somebody that she knew had a demon in them. She just knew that. She sensed it. She couldn't give a logical explanation for that, but she knew it. It wasn't my experience. Oh, thank you very much. Yes. Realms Demonology Handbook, which is just as it seems. I think it's something to bring on an investigation in case somebody's in a tricky situation. They might look through the book and let's see if this guy Carl ever had to deal with that. Let's see what's up. Well, how did he handle it? There are some things I might have done differently, and I chronologize, that in the book. I give case histories. I think it's an easy read. It's precisely 300 pages, and you can just read a chapter a night if you want to go all through it, or just use it as a reference, because I have the chapters and I have an index. So you might find something valuable if somebody's on a case, and not necessarily demonic, but it might have those leanings. How did this guy Carl, what did he come up with as a solution, or how did he deal with it?
I have a story about a demon at the mall, but maybe we'll end out on that. So
I hope you get to it.
At the end, I'm going to tell you all about a demon at the mall. Okay.
Carl,
a girl after my own heart.
How does one get into this field? Is it a calling? Is it what draws you to this life?
Yes, it is a calling. It called me. It found me. My first residential case, which I found out about when I was 17 years of age, was investigating there when I was 18 years old. My first residential case was what is now called the Conjuring House, Round Top Farmhouse. That was what I started with. Because we didn't know that precisely 40 years later it would be turned into a motion picture. I certainly would have taken more pictures if I thought that, And it was actually our team that brought in Ed and Lorraine Warren to that house. That's how they became involved in the house in Harrisville. It wasn't like we were in over our heads. We were conducting, to the best of our means, a scientifically based investigation. Once the Warrens came in, it ceased being an investigation and turned into an intercession. The intellectualizing ceased, and they were just trying to rid the demon, as they interpreted it, out of the house. So that was my first case in August and September 1973. I was but a baby. My next case turned out to be full-blown demonic possession. The subject was a 14-year-old boy in the west end of Providence in the Armory District. And that was harrowing. That's where I cut my teeth, you might say, in demonology. And then I started to get calls when somebody would call me, Carl, we know you do this, and we don't know if we can handle this. This is beyond us. Can you come in and just be a consultant? Can you help us out with this? I said, I'm glad they have so much confidence in me, but yeah, I will come and address this. Well, even then, in the early days, I had a reputation as an investigator who would stand his ground. I wouldn't be chased out. And that I found out in that demonic possession case in the west end of Providence. I so wanted to get out of there when this activity was happening. I knew back at my parents' house where I was living, there was food in the refrigerator. I could go to bed. I didn't want to deal with that. But I also knew that if I left that house when they needed my help or seemed to rely on me, when the family was relying on me, I might not ever be able to return to such a situation. So, if I ran out before, I'm going to run out again. I knew I had to stay and see it through, and at least instill confidence in me for the people I was trying to help. So that was my second one. Then somebody brought a magazine article to my attention, and it was basically about Ed and Lorraine Warren from Monroe, Connecticut. And because I was then associated with the Warrens, they had a blurb about me, and it said, I'll quote, Carl Johnson, the demonologist from Rhode Island. And somebody said to say, look, Carl, a demonologist from Rhode Island. I said, well, that has a ring to it. Okay, I'm a demonologist, and I'll be until somebody explains that I'm not. But that's how I first became involved in demonology. It seemed to find me, once I had the reputation, of course, I can understand it, but for some reason, people were bringing the dark cases to me. Now, my brother, Keith, is also a demonologist. We are very much alike in our approaches, but not in our theorems. He's the good twin. I'm the evil twin.
I don't believe that, but
well,
I would like to have. I have never seen an interview with you both on. I'd like to have you both on. Actually,
that would be pretty cool.
Well, you see, I've always questioned, and I've always come up with theories and propensities of the human psyche. What can the mind do? Whereas my brother takes a much more fundamental view. So he's kind of like the angelic twin. And if you're a demonologist, I think you have to be a skilled angelologist as well, just to get a comprehensive overview.
The 9 choirs of angels.
Yeah.
Honestly, the description of angels is kind of just as scary as what you might perceive.
They're formidable when you talk about the biblical, the Old Testament, even the New Testament definition and delineation of angels. They're scary mothers. They're formidable. They're 9 feet tall, or they execute God's judgment. The angel of death in Exodus, they're nasty people.
One angel has all kinds of eyes and wings and all that. There's 9 choirs of these angels. But here's the difference. They can manifest as humans, but demons can't do that. Seems like demons cannot do full humanistic people. Like angels has that ability. Demons seem like they're part human, part animal.
Yes. I always treat guests respectfully, because when entertaining guests, some people have unknowingly entertained angels.
Right.
The words of St. Paul. That's a good point, that angels they can appear as a human. Demons really can't do that. There's always something wrong, something missing, or something ominous. So yeah, angels, but they're not always the sweet help givers. They execute judgment. They're scary
wrestle.
to behold.
Who was it in the wrestle with the angel all night?
Jacob tried to wrestle with the angel, and of course the angel had the advantage from the start, because the angel just touched him on the head and he fell down in pain. Angels are no more human than are demons. They are celestial, not infernal. But then, and of course there are the thrones, the principalities, cherubim, seraphim, which are all plural.
There's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Demons are hierarchy too. There's a lot of regional demons, land demons, things like that. But Rick has a question, I know, because he
No, I'm just you guys went deep.
Isn't it amazing?
I'm checking out of this one. So when it comes to demons, right? If you had to choose one fictional representation of what a demon is from movies, books, whatever, that you think may come closest to reality, which would it be? Like, why? Who's gotten it the most right?
I would say the movie The Rite, which was predicated on a real case. Going back a little further. Now with the advent of The Exorcist, in early 1974, it was released to general theaters, and the book came out 2 years before. That gives us our Western interpretation of what a demon is, very similar to the medieval idea of what a demon is. But I can also cite Faustus, The Tragic History of Dr. Faustus. There was a movie made about the Christopher Marlowe play, which I like. It was done with minimalist sets, starred Richard Burton, who, as great an actor as he was, can be laughable in some roles. But I think the representation of Mephistopheles, the demon he summons, I think that pretty much encapsulates how a demon is. A deceiver, but subjugated to the will of Satan. And again, I'm talking in those more overt terms,
Speaking of these demonic entities in the movies and the things and the Conjuring and all this stuff, when we sit and watch, there's been a couple times, like even a series on Netflix here just recently about Ohio. I can't even remember, The Devil in Ohio or something, what it was. I got to episode 2 and in my spirit says, turn it off. Like I did that with Drag Me to Hell was another movie that I started watching here at home. Turn it off. Insidious, which did The Conjuring, the first one, turn it off. Can these entities that are portrayed, because we have a lot, gosh, this is a long question. The Exorcist and the Poltergeist and all this stuff, we have a lot of tragic incidents that happen on these sets.
Yes.
With people. Can that entity or whatever hovering over these films and over these movies, can that come out of the TV possibly and connect to us? Because I seriously, like, Drag Me to Hell, like, even the commercials for that was probably the worst one. The trailers I would see on TV and stuff. Drag Me to Hell was the one that like alarmed me so bad. And I watched the first 3 or 4 minutes of it. I'm like, absolutely not. Turn it off. I think there's some meaning behind this because I feel that way, but can it actually manifest? Can it transfer through TV?
2 criteria are necessary. The person has to believe in the power of the demon, and they have to be afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
If they dread it, yeah, it can, but it's not really going to come out of the set. And horror films aren't doomed to paranormal activity occurring in the set and the making of them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making them. And we keep in mind that what makes these movies and television shows successful is the element of fear, the surprise, the unexpected. One thing I've always found scary in movies is when the person's in the bathroom, and they hear rattling around, they hear noises in the hall, and they always have the thing where they're looking at stairs or they're going around with a flashlight and all, and it's the cat. Oh, don't do that, jeepers! Don't do that. And then they turn around. Or when they close the bathroom mirror, there's a reflection in back of them. Especially if it's done subtly, it's like, kind of forming. Or you see the shower curtain part behind them. That spooks me, yeah. It's not real to me, but you wonder if things like that are happening. Yeah. And it's good for business. It promotes the movie if they say all these terrible things happen on the making of the set. But The Exorcist, Jack McGowan, who plays Burke Dennings, the director, and he dies in that movie. He was a distinguished mostly comedic actor, British actor. He dies falling down steps when he's thrown out.
Oh, hold on. I know. Those steps are in Columbus, Ohio, and I've laid on them.
Yeah.
Pictures taken. So I've laid on those steps.
Oh, well, yeah. But the actor Jack McGowan did die that way. He fell downstairs.
He died? Really that way?
He died before the film was released to theaters. He died in late 1973.
Falling downstairs.
No, that was promoted also by the movie, but it was true. But it wasn't the demon that threw him out the window.
That was true.
Yeah. But that happened. There were strange things that came out in the film. You see little blurbs and strange discrepancies, anomalies in the film that were left in that occurred during the making, because that was a conjuration. That became so real. It was such a scary film, and based on another real case, that things started to happen. But when you come down to the bottom line, it was a movie. It was successful. It was promoted as being terribly scary, and it was effective. But they use that formula of like, you turn around and there it is, and that it's not going to be scary otherwise. Those films can't be successful if they're not scary. I think it was really overdone in The Conjuring. You might think I wouldn't like that movie, The Conjuring, because what happened was the Warrens actually usurped our case and ran with it. We were out of it once they came in because they declared it a demonic haunt. They were the experts. They had to take over. They could do, in fact, Ed Warren told Mrs. Perron, and this came out weeks later, that they could be of no help unless they were the sole paranormal people. We were just a bunch of college kids. We could only get in the way. I actually think we could have done more good for the Perrons, but we wouldn't have made them famous.
So if you're investigating paranormal activity or you're a demonologist, right? Yes. Finding a demon is clearly good for business.
Oh yeah. I mean,
so my question is really like in researching this and trying to prepare, I watched a lot of YouTube and TikTok videos of people experiencing demons and paranormal activity. And every time they go out looking for it, they find it. So are there really this many hauntings that we see out there, or have hauntings increased significantly based on the ability to monetize the videos as of late?
Well, the Warrens, for instance, had a fantastic success rate because virtually every case they went to was declared demonic. So they always found their demon.
Zach Bacon's.
Yeah.
And it really does
and their
become that way. I mean, if you're looking for signs of the demonic haunt, like it suddenly became cold in the room, there were raps on the wall, shadow figures. They see it out of the corner of their eye. Yeah, those things are going to happen,
Mhm.
and they're interpreted as demonic. Somebody else might not think they're demonic, but once that lodestone is introduced and they believe it's demonic, it's hard to convince anybody they're not. I would rather not find the demon and say it's like a human-generated haunt, which I think it all comes down to that anyway. But sometimes you just got an inhuman menace there, and it's hard to interpret it as anything else. You can't tell somebody it's not. I would rather go in and perform something of a blessing, and with all sincerity, but the person needs to be convinced that they're being helped, and sometimes they can't be because it always comes back. Nah, it's coming back. It's still bothering me.
Right. I hate to say this, Carl, because I've worked on several cases. I do not do it until they're absolutely ready. And I have a game plan. I give them a thing. I said, you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. You have to be ready. And that's what I'm going to say. I think it starts out as an oppression and then it becomes a possession because they keep speaking it on them. These homeowners in these homes and stuff, for some reason, they cannot let it go. And there's a lot of times I'm like, I don't think they want to let it go because it's a comfort zone to them in many ways. They want help, but when we give help, they don't want to let it go. They keep bringing it back.
Boy, are you hitting the nail on the head. Yes, sometimes they have relied on that. It's not our problem. It's not us. We were a totally normal household. And then this thing started. And during the interview process, researching the property and the personal history, you find out it wasn't really, they didn't have that kind of equilibrium. They didn't just move into us. That really doesn't happen in the real world, where persons move into they might find a haunted house, but it's not going to be demonic. There's something that preceded that, some tragedy, some division in the family. And often you find a Ouija board in a closet. Well, we wanted to find, and this is true, I'm quoting a number of times. Well, we wanted to get to the bottom of it, so we thought we'd ask for the Ouija. We didn't know what else to do. Yeah, like a Ouija board's going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, let's open up that portal to hell.
I've been shopping for another car, and I finally have one after mine was totaled. And I don't intrinsically trust the car salesman. How are you going to trust something with a planchette that moves around a board, scrying? And these people, well, we wanted answers. In fact, that happened at that house in Harrisville.
Okay.
The seance was staged. I could use that word. Well, it was.
I'm surprised the Warrens did seances.
Well, they did. Now, Mrs. Warren, Lorraine Warren, many times I quoted her saying, "You must never try to contact the dead." She was doing a seance every other weekend, and they advised that the Perrons have a seance in their haunted house, the Perron family owning the house in Harrisville. Well, what better way to find out what kind of a demon or evil spirit is haunting their house than to ask another spirit? And it seemed primitive. There was nothing scientific about it. It was grasping at straws. Yeah, they got results all right, but not results they expected. Carolyn Perron, during that seance, she was taken over, started mumbling in an incoherent quasi language, and she was thrown out of her chair, propelled out by what I believe is psychokinetic force. She was thrown about 9 feet into the next room.
That happened, and that happened in the movie too. But
listen, we're running out of time, and we got some
we got about
questions.
8 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
We do have 8 minutes left. I will say
use
that.
Of them.
But real quick, I just want to say I believe that people that have these hauntings in their home, it's kind of like somebody that's addicted to some kind of drug or something.
It answers
it's
question.
An addiction.
Yeah,
and unless they're willing to get rid of that addiction, then
oh my God, my partner Elise and I have talked about that. It's I call it and in the book Shadow Realms, and Lana mentions that, I call it parapsychological projection. Because excuse me, get rid of
that's
that.
okay. Well, there's your
ringtone.
Somebody's trying to shut me off there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll show you something quickly.
Demon alert.
Okay, hold on.
This is talk about my partner. This is Elise. Oh, that's not going to help us at all.
There we go. Elise, she's the karate chopper.
Yeah, she is. She's
well, we need to have her on the show too.
Well, we're the Avengers. She's Emma Peel. If you remember that show. Oh, okay. Yes, let's bring her on. Yeah,
we need to bring her on too.
Has anyone ever asked you to do a demon inspection? Like, do due diligence before buying a house? Is that a thing?
Not yet. I would like them to call me in as an assessor. I'll give you my opinion, but it will be scientifically. It won't be just hunches.
And we
It's what we
talked
can
about
find. And something of intuition, of course. You mentioned H.P. Lovecraft being my distant cousin. Actually, H.P. Lovecraft is my second cousin.
Okay.
That's all right. He never called me, and he died in 1937. Look what somebody gifted me.
Oh no, I have a lot of questions. That looks like Eminem.
Down
at the bottom, Eminem the rapper.
Yeah, that's. I've never heard him referred to as that. This is made out of actual coffin wood. Awesome. Somebody who specializes in such arcane gifts.
I've got so many questions about Ouija board now. We're gonna have to do this. We can't do it right
Definitely
now.
We're opening up one rabbit trail after another. Yes.
Let's do this. Can we ask Jason's questions?
Yes.
A really good one.
Please do. Yeah, we'll do it.
Carl, how do demons view each other? Are they territorial? Angels function under the will of God, and he's always viewed demons as being selfish. How do demons view each other? And are they territorial?
It's thought that demons work in league together. And there are stronger demons and minor demons that are called minions.
Really? Are they really truly called minions? Because those movies would make sense right now.
It's a human term, yes. It's people call them that. That's an interesting premise about demons being territorial and in competition with each other. I've never really thought of that. It's kind of a cool concept. I think they have to, by their dark master, they are enforced to work together and cooperate. But maybe if they are real in that sense and they have personalities, maybe they have some human-like squabbling. Maybe they are territorial. Maybe they emulate Satan in that way and they are instilled with pride. I think they're too scared of their boss to bicker too much. Yeah.
And then we got Doug here. Is there a definite line that when crossed, one can be reasonably sure they are dealing with a demon? There are some pretty angry energies that I've come across, but never considered it demonic.
Mm-hmm. It will always be vague and hard to define, but like getting back to the poltergeist phenomenon, that can seem demonic because it's so forceful. It's a whirlwind. It can move furniture around. It can rearrange draperies into human form. They look like mannequins. That's happened. It is thought that when and I always have it's a supposition, but it's thought that when it's a demonic haunt, you feel it in your gut. It's really feel like there are hands on you, icy hands, and you're being watched all the time. That leads more to the idea that it's a demonic haunt. I don't think one can be absolutely sure, but it depends on the person who's addressing it. It could depend on the demonologist. But sometimes if you walk into a house and there's stuff happening there, it's like, I don't know what else to think. This really does seem demonic. But I always support that the mind is very much in play at that.
Carl, tell us about Paracon coming up in May.
Okay. Yes. Well, as I can see, that's May 13th and 14th. I'm going to be a headline speaker there. Not the headliner, but I'm going to be a keynote speaker at that. And that's it gets bigger every year. This is going to be its third year. And it's going to take place in Ansonia, Connecticut, the Ansonia Armory. It'll be a very good kind of Gothic-looking environment. Many of my colleagues will be there, but I'll be one of the speakers there, and I'm going to be speaking with Elise. I've invited her to speak. I have some clout there. And it's going to be a hobnobber sharing of ideas, techniques, and I think a Paracon can be a very beneficial thing.
Where's the best place for people to connect with you, to reach out to you, Carl? I have your links all in the description, and I've shared it during the show.
But wants to contact you about that, but I'm accessible for the ubiquitous Facebook or Meta. You can find me there. We have a website for Panorama Paranormal.
Okay.
It's basically contiguous.com. And so look for Panorama Paranormal. You'll follow a link, you'll find eventually a link to that. We have a Facebook page for Panorama Paranormal. Now, there might be a couple of other, groups or contingencies that have that Panorama Paranormal, but you'll come to us first, I think. And that's Elise Giammarco Carlson and myself, Carl L. Johnson. I'm guessing I'm the only Carl L. Johnson in the state of Rhode Island who's known as a demonologist. So, by default, find me on Facebook, but try looking around for Panorama. And I can direct you to our website after that once you get a hold of me,
Well,
or call Emily Menshouse and you'll find, and Rick.
I will send you. I will send you.
Point them in the right direction. I'm not
Well,
going
I want to say thank you, Carl, so
Yes,
much. I'll be in
yes.
contact with you to come back on for part 2. Maybe your brother can come on too.
Oh,
at the
yeah,
same time.
for sure.
So,
and or Elise, get
yeah,
the family
we
together.
could do a part 3.
Oh no, that would be so good. I really enjoy your show. It's gone by so quickly. You really need a 2 hour.
It does. I know, but
It seems like,
unfortunately we can't do it right now.
Yeah, and it's like I start off by saying, "Oh, Jesus, I'm gonna hope I have enough material to talk about for an hour." And then it's like you two are such a good team and so engaging, and you happen to ask all the right questions.
And we got really great people that watch the show too.
Like, can we do 15 more minutes? Wow.
We got 3 more minutes, so we always let our guests go, and then we close out the show and introduce our show for next week.
Yep.
So we're gonna let you go, Carl. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man.
Learned a lot tonight.
Thank you so much, and I'll be back.
You. Okay, yes, you definitely will. We'll see you next time, Carl. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Awesome. Carl L. Johnson. Woo-woo!
Yeah, that dude's awesome. Very cool. He's been hunting demons since the 70s. Like, that's just like, what a career. Like, that's awesome.
He's a
and
demon
we didn't
slayer.
we didn't even get into like,
he needs a tattoo. He needs a tattoo. Demon Slayer tattoo.
Yeah. Did you learn anything from that? Take any
I have. I learned quite a bit of that, especially with me just even saying that angels are humans, and here's my dog coming in, and demons are half human, half animals. Even I just came up with that on this whim, but he never thought of that. Carl's an amazing person. I love it. I've listened to a lot of his interviews, watched a lot of his stuff over the years. And I need to get his book. And maybe I should buy the book for a giveaway, because giveaways are going to be coming out soon here on What the Frick Club. Been working on that. But next week, we got a minute left, Rick. So next week, one of my top 10 people I've ever wanted to interview in my whole entire life is coming on. L.A. Marzulli. We're going to be talking giants, Nephilim, all that stuff.
Great follow-up.
He chases the Nephilim, and we're going to be talking about Haditha Dam, and we're going to be talking about Gilgamesh and Nimrod. It's going to be freaking phenomenal. I will be super nervous. Everybody tune in next week here on What the Frick Live, 107.7 FM, New Orleans. We love you all. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Always repeat myself twice. 7
Thank you,
p.m.
everybody.
Thank you.
See you
awesome.
next week.